Hey, Chuggy family, welcome to the ChuggieBets podcast. I am Andy. I am joined today by Danny, Al, and Matt. Before we get to any of our picks, let's chug a beer.
Who's ready to chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks? Welcome to Chuggy Bets.
Cold and refreshing.
All right. We got that out of the way.
You get that one out of the way.
That's how we attract new followers. Let me put you on this podcast, guys. Perfect.
What's that called? ASMR or ASML or whatever it is?
The opposite of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You got the AS.
So, Al, you had an incredible week last week. 5-2 on your college picks. So, congratulations. That means you have
Thank you.
Chuggy to give out at any point today. And we'll let you kick it off. Do you have any thoughts from last week or about this week to kick us off?
I think I wanted to, some thought I had about a lot of good matchups between small schools this week. Coastal Carolina and Georgia State is going to be a good one. James Madison, App State could be good. Arkansas State, Old Dominion, Marshall, Troy, and even bottom feeders from Power Fives like Duke, Kansas. So I'm excited to see what goes on in those matchups.
Excellent. Matt, you also had a pretty good week. You got anything to share before we get into the picks?
Yeah, going on what Al said, the fact that we got 6 wins in 3 weeks between Duke and Kansas, I'm fascinated because I bet the under on Duke ACC wins, and they may prove me wrong really quick. And Lance Leipold at Kansas is getting a lot of eyeballs from his neighbor to the south. Oh, no, the neighbor to the north about hey, you've been here for 3 weeks. Maybe you should come up to Nebraska and try out this job a little bit better, get paid a little bit. Very fascinating. And with the number of coaches that are getting fired, I think this is a huge week. I think there could be 2 or 3 coaches that get fired this week if they lose. And I'll get to those when we get on later.
Ooh,
Nice. And Danny.
On that note, my thought is I'm gonna miss Herm Edwards, the Fighting Herms, man. It was they were always a great team when we were chasing late. Yeah.
I'll drink to Herm.
Yeah, we'll miss you. We'll miss you, buddy.
All right. With that, let's go ahead and get right into the picks. And I am actually going to kick us off with a pick for Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. West Virginia is playing Virginia Tech. And I'm going to take the under in this one. JT Daniels has West Virginia offense flying, but it's a Thursday night game. So both teams are coming off of short rest. And I'm not sure how much Virginia Tech's going to be able to contribute to this total. I'm thinking that West Virginia hopefully gets out to a big lead and then takes the foot off the gas in the second half, and we coast in to an under. I've got it at under 52.5. Anybody have any thoughts on that one?
Virginia Tech did not look good against Old Dominion.
Exactly.
So I just don't think that they're going to score a lot of points. I like your pick.
Yeah.
West Virginia
like
over
a
this
fun
by
game,
themselves.
so it sounds like a fun one to take the under.
Yeah, neither quarterback has looked amazing this year in either situation. Grant Wells is looking okay in Virginia Tech, but I think if there's a side to play, it's the under 52.5. I agree. Not enough to bet it, but I agree.
West Virginia's running game is decent. I mean, especially against that Pitt team in the opening week. That was a pretty good performance by their running game. But you're right, their quarterback hasn't been great.
All right, Danny, looks like you've got a pick for us also on Thursday night with Coastal Carolina going into Georgia State.
Yeah, shocker. I'm picking Coastal Carolina again. We're going to keep doing this. They have not been great for me so far this season. They are, I believe they didn't cover for me last week, and I got a bad line and they covered the closing line. No, they didn't cover. They didn't cover the 12 against Buffalo, right? They lost. And then they didn't cover the 33 against whoever their stupid opening week game was. But this week, they're not going to go 0-3 against the spread. Honestly, I just don't think Georgia State's that good, right? I think people are going to inflate that South Carolina win, but South Carolina's not that good. They're going to inflate them playing, or they didn't beat South Carolina, but them playing them tough, and they're going to inflate them playing tough against UNC, but UNC's not that good. They played Charlotte tough, but Charlotte's not that good, and they're 0-3. The 0-3 team going against a 3-0 team. I'm gonna lay 2.5 points with a team that's much better.
On Chanticleers, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are all valid points. I think the main difference is that those are some Power 5, or at least a Power 5 school that they lost one of those close games to, and not.
I mean, it was a touchdown. They lost a touchdown to UNC, and they played that South Carolina game tough early, and then South Carolina ran away later. So
I almost pulled the trigger on the other side, but I didn't. So I'll be cheering for you. Moving on to Friday nights. Matt, you've got to play on Virginia at Syracuse.
Yeah, I'm going to lay the 9.5 going to the whatever the Carrier Dome is called now. I'm really impressed with Syracuse. They're one of the more impressive sides in the ACC from having extremely low expectations to Garrett Schrader looks good. Their defense looks good. They look vastly improved across the board. And equally surprising is how bad Virginia's looked. This Brennan Armstrong is the same guy, right? They didn't like body snatch Brennan Armstrong and replace him with a different Brennan Armstrong because that dude was great last year at the quarterback position for Virginia. And he is not looking successful at all under Tony Elliott's system. I think it's a change of coach. I think there's a lot of things going on, and I don't expect Virginia to be very good this year at all from everything I've seen. Lay the 9.5 and let's ride. I know Syracuse played Purdue a little bit tighter than they were expecting last week, but I guess what was the spread? I think maybe it was a pick 'em.
It was.
So Syracuse did their job. They're a good team. They're going to play good. They always play well at Syracuse, and things get weird on Friday nights at Syracuse. We've seen this against Clemson numerous times. So let's go Orange, 9.5.
It is the JMA Wireless Dome, in case anybody.
Ooh, I love it.
And Matt, we'll stick with you. Moving into Saturday, the noon slate, Maryland going to play Michigan.
Yeah, this is a really interesting candidate to eyeball the over as well. But Michigan's a wagon right now. McCarthy's looked great at the quarterback position. The reason I'm not pulling the over, and Maryland's got friggin' studs at receiver, a bunch of guys who are going to be playing on Sundays really soon, is Michigan's defense looks like the truth so far. They haven't played anyone that great, so this one could be a little more feeling out. But if you have to play a side, you got to lay the 17 here. I think Michigan's looked really impressive so far. And Maryland, for what they can do in offense, they can do the opposite on defense. They stink. So
yeah, Matt, I'm with you on Michigan minus 17. Both teams can put up a lot of points, as we mentioned already. But like you were just saying, it's Michigan's defense. I think it's going to be the difference maker. They give up just 17 points on the season against 3, weaker competition teams. But that's still a pretty tough feat, even, especially when they probably got backups in for a lot of the second half there. Maryland's toughest competition was SMU, and they just beat them by a touchdown last week, I think. So I think Michigan's a lot better than SMU. And
Harbaugh's got those boys rolling, man. Harbaugh's got those boys rolling. They've covered, I think, every game so far this year. They're not being shy about putting up points against bad teams, and they're playing another bad team that they're gonna beat by 3-4 touchdowns. I like this one. I looked long and hard at that minus 17, and I'm probably gonna hit it. I think I saw it at 17.5 when it opened or something, and I wanted to try and lose the hook, but the hook's not gonna matter. They're gonna blow this line out of the water, I think. So
yeah, and they play. Michigan has a really interesting schedule. They don't really have a tough, what would technically be considered like a single-digit spread for like 8 weeks. So they're going to get a lot of hype going behind them if they keep handling their business. And I don't see any reason this team isn't. Like, they're a legit Big Ten contender. Like, that Ohio State-Michigan game at the end of the year is going to be a delight because I think you may see Michigan take it back-to-back.
All right. Al, why don't you take us to TCU at SMU? What do you got for us there?
Yeah, so that's a couple of teams that are both averaging over 40 points a game, but they're against lesser competition. I just mentioned that SMU played a close one against Maryland. They only managed 27 points against Maryland, though, and I think when you get two sides that are pretty evenly matched, you tends to breed like a slower pace of play. And the total here is 69 points.
Nice.
And that's essentially 17. You're going to need 17 points a quarter to go over on that. And all you need is one slow quarter to kill that over. So I'm on the under 69. And I do think it's a nice play. I think, Matt, you have a play on this one too, right?
Yeah. I think TCU's the better team here, right? Going on the road's a little bit tricky, especially when the spread's that close, because they're assuming, what is it right now? -1. So they think TCU is a couple points better, like 4 points better. The key here is I think Max Duggan's great. I think he's really, really good. TCU's coming off the bye. I think they'll be nice and relaxed going into it. They played like Tarleton State or some. I don't remember. It's
Tarleton,
something like that.
Yeah.
Tarleton State, and they blew them out. That's why those games haven't been covering spreads. They've been absolutely dominant against very low competition. But I think the play here is to focus on the Horned Frogs. SMU is really good. They're really good on offense. Rhett Lashley's always an exciting coach. But I think the better quarterback's going to win this one.
Nice. Matt, why don't we stick with you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I think the next play is on Matt, too. Missouri Auburn.
I don't love this play. I'm going to put on the front end here. Right? But Auburn needs to win this game. I'm going to just say it like that. Auburn has a stretch coming up that is going to be absolutely brutal. They got to play all the good teams in the West and Georgia coming up. Brian Harson's seat, for only being there for 1 year, is lava hot. I think there's a very good chance if Brian Harsin doesn't win this game, he will be looking for a job pretty soon. Would be my feeling. Auburn never stands on ceremony letting a coach to try it out. And honestly, like Missouri's looking a little bit better. I do think Auburn is the more talented team. They have a very good defensive line. I'm not familiar if they have a lot of injuries, but that offense has looked like a disaster. So to this point, I think they got to get right. This has to be the get right spot or Brian Harson's going to be looking for a job. So just strictly on that and how bad they played against Penn State, I think they're going to bounce back here and handle a team that they should handle by 7 points. And I think the spread is 7 points because of everything that's happened. I think it's more reactionary than the result.
Game got away from them at the end.
Yeah. I think if there's ever a team to get right against in the SEC, it's Missouri's a pretty good one, probably second best on the list. We went through all of Vandy's schedule last week, and Missouri was about the only game we could concede might be a winnable game for Vandy. So, yeah, it sounds like Auburn could have a chance to cover that one.
Missouri's one of those.
Sorry, go ahead, buddy.
I was just going to say, Missouri's one of those SEC schools where it doesn't sound like they're a terrible team, but they're not putting up one of the best schools every week. So, they feel like an SEC team, but so when you beat them, it doesn't feel like a terrible game, but feel like you won an SEC game, but they're just not a great team. So they can really right your ship if you're a team that could be better and you're just having some bad luck.
And they're always ping-ponging bowl eligibility. They're always respectable, right? I think Auburn just has to look in the mirror and figure out, like, we've got to. This game has to be won. It has to be won. They have to cover the spread. If that's the team, if the team that played Penn State is the team they're going to roll out, Brian Harson's job is gone.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think is that your hottest seat in the nation right now?
Colorado is awful. I mean, Colorado is the worst team I've seen this year. I've watched them a few games, kind of chasing those 9 or 10 o'clocks. When they played TCU, and TCU just absolutely boat raced them, it was bad. That game was not at all interesting early. Colorado's pretty bad. There's a couple other jobs out there that aren't looking good, but I think Auburn's never chill, right? Like they're never just like, oh, let's feel it out for a little bit. You start to lose quickly, and he doesn't like recruiting, which is like he even said, he's like, I don't really like recruiting. And Auburn boosters are like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, do you know what you do for a living? Like, he's a weird match. I don't think he's going to last there long, even if they win 7 or 8 games this year, and I don't think they're getting there. But they got to get this one.
You win a national championship, and all of a sudden you get unreasonable fans.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame seats. I mean, he's a new coach, but he didn't have a hot start, and that was not an easy win this week. So,
Oh, dude, can you imagine if that ball doesn't bounce off the chest of the wide receiver? Like
Mhm.
he's on the ground, he has it on both hands, but
Mhm.
like you're laying on the ground trying to catch a ball and hitting him in the chest and bouncing off it.
Yeah,
Man, I want his handsome face to stay there forever. But if he
I
only
know.
wins 5 or 6 games, I'm very good with that. Also, he can have his
He
handsome
Oh,
face and
yeah.
hands over.
the Metal Arc guys had
Win.
him on an interview. Stu Gotts had him on an interview on Stupidity, and he's charming too, man. It's not just a handsome face. I want that personality in college football, but he's got to start doing some winning.
And
I
we
want
asked
him
this
to win the
earlier.
very bare minimum on that amount of games where he stays at Notre Dame and they don't can him
Forever,
but they're
yeah.
not
I want
like
him to.
competing
I
for
want him to
anything.
win just enough that he stays at Notre Dame forever, but they're not good because I don't want Notre Dame to be like
8 wins, 9 wins, whatever it takes.
exactly whatever it takes for him to stay in college football for a long time. But Notre Dame did not compete.
And do you have any read on the Auburn team? Did you watch that Penn State game at all?
No, I was keeping track of the score because I don't think I had it on the pod, but I ended up playing Penn State -3. But no, I didn't watch any of it. I don't like laying points, especially with the team that just looked as bad as Auburn did against Penn State. So I'm staying away. But God bless. Good luck to you.
No, and look, this could be his firing, right? Like we could be announcing that he's going to be fired. I just feel like Auburn's going to play with more pride. They're more talented. I know they stink at wide receiver. They may be the worst in the SEC at wide receiver. That includes Vanderbilt. They got to get better. They got to be better. They have to be better. TJ Finley looked okay when he could be creative, but that they just can't continue to be this bad.
They wouldn't be the worst in the ACC at wide receiver. I'll tell you that.
Oh God! You just want to break that down when we get to one of your teams?
We can wait till we get to our game or your game. I don't know. We're all bad at wide receiver in the ACC.
It's not a bad time to talk about ACC teams because we got Clemson, Wake Forest, headlining the noon slate, and I think Danny and I are both on Wake. I'm gonna full caveat here. I don't feel good about this play. Wake Forest +7. I think this is the game where I'm screaming at my TV for Wake Forest to cover because I just dislike Debo and Clemson, and I want Sam Hartman to do well. He's looked good since he's come back, but I don't know. I don't know where this line should be, but it feels like Wake Forest should cover 7, and I hope they do.
It's at
Hartman had kind of an okay game against Liberty. So like it wasn't his traditional low interception game that you expect out of Hartman. He usually has that high output, high efficiency, low interception game, and he wasn't as accurate as you expect out of him. So hopefully he rights that ship. As a veteran QB, you expect better. He threw the 2 interceptions, and there were a lot of incomplete passes. And he didn't connect with what's the Perry?
A.T. Perry.
A.T. Perry. He didn't connect with him as much as you'd like to see. I think he only had a couple of grabs. So, and that's against a lower level school like Liberty. Going up against Clemson.
I'm hoping AT phones home a lot this weekend.
Hey, there it is. I'm expecting that. I'm expecting them to be more in rhythm with another week of practice, and to really just step their game up because they still threw for a bunch of yards, but that offense is really good when he's in rhythm. So I expect them to be better this week against Clemson, whose defense is still they're still great, but just watching that Oklahoma game again this week, Venables coaches D linemen no matter where they are. And watching Clemson this week, their D linemen aren't as good. So I don't think they're gonna be able to rush the passer as well. So I think Hartman's gonna have more time than he would against a normal Clemson defense if Venables was still there. I think that he really took a lot with him on that defense when he left.
I think
Clemson's quarterback. I think
Clemson struggle.
I like watching them struggle too. I think Clemson's quarterback just isn't great. I think they should probably move to a younger guy. So I'm going with Wake here. I got 7. Right?
They actually have split some reps between Uiagalelei and whoever their backup is. So It would be fun if Clemson struggled so bad on offense they were shuffling QBs.
It's brave of
But
you
yeah,
to try that
Danny,
name.
you
I
gotta-
couldn't say it. Ugulianye. I could say Adewale Ogunleye
Yeah.
as a Dolphins fan from the old days, but I cannot say it took a lot of practice to learn that one. So
Yui Youngale.
Yeah, it was
Uyo Young.
A for effort.
I still
A
can't
for
even
effort.
say Tungala.
Just call him DJ.
Yeah.
Just call him
So-
DJ.
Well,
So I
DJ,
let's
there
have
you
a
go.
few more beers and then we'll test you when we get to the NFL.
It's a spelling test. You got to spell it too. Now you don't get to have a beer for the rest of the night.
I can get the tongue part right. I mean, that's pretty good, right?
Actually, that's a good point, Matt. Danny, why don't you go ahead and chug a beer?
All right,
So
let's do it.
can I add a few notes here?
Let me see that beautiful throat action. Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
So the Wake Forest wins if their offensive line holds up. I think they can win this game. I think they're much more talented on offense than Clemson is. Shipley's good. Shipley's really good. Everyone's always puzzled when they see a white running back because it's like seeing a unicorn. But Shipley's really good at his position. But on the offensive side, they have the good receivers. Until they go to Cade Klubnik, this offense is not going to be good. They need to bail on DJ and go to Cade. And know he's a freshman.
Sure.
He's good. The dude's really good, and they think he's going to be a terror there. So I want Clemson to stay with DJ as long as possible. Do not give him any more reps. We don't need him having any more reps. He's fine. Give him a couple years to get seasoned. Let him transfer out to somewhere, and then you get whatever you want. Additionally, is there anything that's the opposite of a home field advantage? Because Wake Forest presents no home field advantage. I believe, gun to my head, I think there will be as many Clemson fans as there are Wake Forest fans in this game. So, I get a little jaded with the 7 at home because they call it Sleepy Hill for a reason. No one's ever up. They got that hill in the background. Everyone's just hanging out on. It's a bad venue for a fine institution.
Winston-Salem, cute little town, but they don't have any fans.
No,
it's not even as good as Georgia Tech as far as ACC venues go.
Georgia Tech is in Atlanta. They can get bodies.
Yeah.
No, Georgia Tech students go to that game. They get. I mean, those nerds get rowdy.
Yeah. Well, even if Wake Forest students go to that game, they have 1,500 students at the whole school because it's so academically challenging, and they keep it really small. Right?
Sure.
They could have the whole students, every student there. But either way, I can't wait to watch this game. I'm in. This is
it's going to be a good game. I'm excited to watch Wake Forest beat Clemson. I like watching Clemson lose. Next game, we got pick on. Oh, did you have something else?
Yeah, no, I was going to say last game in the noon slate.
Okay. Oh, last game in the noon slate. Yeah. Duke versus Kansas. This is a stinker of a game.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones where to see Kansas succeed because they've been so ass for so long. But they've got Jalen Daniels, not to be confused with Jaden Daniels. He's played really good. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's got a 7-to-1 TD INT ratio this year. Which includes wins over West Virginia and Houston. And for some reason, I'm taking the points with Duke +9. I'm hoping we get a bit of a barn burner. Kansas can put up points, and I'm hoping Duke can match them point for point for the most part. Kansas's defense is still Kansas's defense. It's very bad. So I think Duke, who has also surprised this year, can go ahead and put some points up and cover the 9. That's the thought.
So the play I'm looking to on this game, I haven't locked it in yet, but the play I'm looking to on this game is the over. I don't know what the number is, but that's the one I was thinking earlier in the week. Kansas has been way better than people thought so far this year, and it's mostly on the offensive side. Duke has traditionally had a better offense and a terrible defense in the ACC. Would you say 64.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 64.5 is a higher number than I was expecting, so I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I most likely will, be setting up my tailgate and looking at things I want to gamble on and just hit it. So
an interesting number to bet here, maybe Duke's team total over. Kansas is going to score. Lance Leipold, when he was at Wisconsin Whitewater and won every D3 national championship, he had a wagon of an offense. At Buffalo, he had a wagon of an offense. The dude knows how to coach offense. That team gives up a lot of points. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch.
It's actually Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Sorry. I was going to say that's a bet I love to make. It's a bet I love to make is the underdog team total over in a game I love the over where I don't know who's going to win.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
So it's a high spread over when I think the underdog could win. I'll take the team total of the underdog.
And look, I lambasted Duke on the first episode of ChuggieBets when we did the week 0. I was like, they're going to suck. And egg on my face. Good for you, Dukes. And personally, I bet under 2.5 wins for Kansas. So that one failed also. So I'm excited to watch.
Shocker that one failed. We're all a little shocked that one failed. Yeah. Kansas being bad is one of those things you can usually rely on.
It's like looking at the clock.
If we're talking about guys named Lance that are great at calling offense, we got to give a shout out to our boys from Varsity Blues, little hook and ladder. Well, not Lance was the name of Lance was the name of the quarterback that blew his knee out. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Rest in peace, Paul Walker.
Yeah, it's Paul Walker.
All right.
You know what?
Billy Bob too. Maybe they're all dead.
I mean, this is an emotional version.
James Vanderbeek is still kicking. I see. He has a podcast.
Is John Boyd dead?
I hope.
Yes.
Hopefully. I'll return that for a touchdown.
So I went to this the UCF game last week, and I was shocked at how good their offense was in the second half. Actually, I wasn't because I left early to watch the Miami game. But the UCF did play really well in that game. So Matt, I believe you wanted to talk about the UCF Georgia Tech game.
Yeah, I'm going to just play the other side for 1 second. We were talking about coaches where their seat is extremely warm. Colin's seat is extremely warm. He made a promise to the Georgia Tech fans. He said 2 things. We're going to move away from Paul Johnson's offense. He did that successfully. And he said, we're going to win games and have a great offense. He did not do that successfully. This experiment for Georgia Tech has been bad, and they've had good offensive talent. Jeff Sims is a very coachable, talented quarterback. Jamar Gibbs is a great running back, and he did so little at Georgia Tech, he transferred to Alabama. He was on Georgia Tech last year, and I understand the appeal of going to Alabama. I would play the opposite of my Auburn logic here. I don't see any hope for this Georgia Tech team. I think they're going to pack it in relatively early, and the number's a little big for me for UCF. That's my only thing from saying, let's lock it in, but UCF should win this one pretty easily. Andy, you look like you had something there.
20 points.
No, you're right about Georgia Tech. I don't think they've got anything left in them. But 20's still a pretty big number to lay for me. So I'm staying away, but I like your logic.
Oh, this next one is a gem, everybody.
So
We've got. Let's go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt. Or I'll introduce the game because I'm the one betting on it.
Go ahead,
I bet on this game every week. I even bet on it last week, and I got it wrong because UMass was playing a high school. All right, they beat a high school last week. They were. Yeah. I had to give up only 1 point for the high school that UMass was playing, and UMass beat them by like 2 touchdowns because all the people like me that didn't look up the team they were playing, they just blindly bet against UMass. So that's why the line was -1.5 when it shouldn't have been. Yeah, so they're playing Temple. Temple's better than them, so I'm just gonna lay I got it at 9.5 on the right when it came out, and I think it's moved to 10 or 10.5 now. So, yeah, just you fade UMass every week until it fails, and you just keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm on this one with you, Danny. I got it -10. The Minutemen lost to Tulane by 32 and to Toledo by 45. They just got what might be their only victory of the season against Stony Brook, which, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's Stony Brook High School. Stony Brook High School.
No, correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
I
the
believe Stony
location.
Brook is
The
a
location is
Division
wrong.
18. I think they're a Division 18 school. Let's see, what else? What other notes do I have? Temple. Oh, yeah. UMass has only scored 10 points against those 2 actual schools. So Tulane's just got to put up Temple's only got to put up like 3 touchdowns to cover. So yeah.
All right, guys,
Temple
I'm going to make a
-10.
new game really quick. If you tell me what state Stony Brook University is in, I'll drink this beer. You get 3 seconds.
New York.
Oh,
Mass. Oh.
I just assumed that they played the local high school, so I was going to say Massachusetts.
Well, that was a failed of a game, but I'm glad we tried. What state Stony Brook's in?
Sorry, bud. I know that because
Good
of
job, Andy.
college basketball. I wouldn't know if it was just football, but Stony Brook is catching some strays out here, man. They didn't do anything to any of us, and they're out here.
It seems like a delightful place.
Yeah.
That's true. I do bet on Stony Brook basketball when I'm doing my first half college basketball unders. I love watching white guys miss shots. So.
Exactly. Matt, do you have a play for us in UCLA, Colorado?
So I spoke about this earlier. Colorado is the worst team that I've watched so far this year. They are anemic. That dude is getting fired. I would bet the farm that he's going to get fired in the next 6 weeks. They don't have any leadership, no guidance. If they have a miraculous turnaround and they win 5 or 6 games, I will chug a beer on this podcast, and I will tease it that day and make sure you watch me chug a beer. And it'll be like a big beer, like a laughably large beer. Like I'll chug a beer. I'm gonna look at what UCLA is coming off of a near disastrous game where I told you to bet against USA last week, and USA played them friggin' tough. I'm hoping that they underestimate UCLA's ability. The books do. They think Colorado could keep it closer, and then I'm going to try to watch what the score will be. I will look at the unders for you of Colorado. If it's like 14, I'm going to bet the under. I don't know what the number is going to be, though.
Colorado team under is a good bet. Colorado's definitely firing their coach because they're trying to stay in the big conference conversation, and at this point, they might get replaced.
Yeah, like they just swap them out with Boise. Be like, you go to the Mountain West.
Seriously, that's what they're in danger of right now. Boise's better than them, and all these MAC schools that keep stepping up and beating. Marshall. Why not?
I agree. Oh, Andy, I'd
take a lot of MAC schools over Colorado.
I didn't even see your next play, but
I just want to say, Andy, this isn't enough points. Go on.
Oh, no, I love it. Go for it, buddy.
All right, so the next one is first game of the 3:30 slate, FIU going to Western Kentucky. I'm taking FIU plus 31. FIU's only win this year was in overtime against Bryant, so we are not talking about a good football team. And Western Kentucky could easily be 3-0 if Danny hadn't jinxed them into losing a heartbreaker to Indiana last week.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. But you guys know my motto.
Right.
My motto is that's too many points. You're giving me 4 touchdowns and a field goal here. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be pretty, but I will take those points.
Andy, that's not enough points. I love to lay those points. I love to lay those points, but I like to lay them when it's like Michigan or Alabama. I'm not laying those points for Western Kentucky, but it's not enough point.
Yeah, what I want to start doing when Andy makes these plays here is I want to really pick your brain and investigate here. So, how many points is it you think FIU is going to score?
Ooh, good question.
That is a great question.
I want to try and talk you out of this through logic.
Let me look it up what I got in my numbers real quick. I think FIU will score 18.
18?
No chance.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. If it does, though,
Memorialize brothers are both gone.
I will bet the team under if it's 18.
That means you need 50 points from Western Kentucky to cover, right?
So 68 is the number. Is the total at 68?
Total is 61.5.
Okay.
Might be able to play with that total a little bit.
No, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong Florida. That's Florida Atlantic. Florida International, total 64.5.
I love that you can't tell the difference.
West Palm Beach State.
Palm Beach Atlantic.
So, Danny, if it's not enough points, are you taking Western Kentucky and laying the 31?
No, I'm trying to limit the number of picks I'm making based on the way I've been bleeding money the last couple weeks. So
Fair enough.
Oh.
Fair enough. All right. With that, then we'll move on to Al. I think he's still on the fence about this one, but he's considering a pick in James Madison, App State. What do you got for us there, Al?
Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to play it. I might consider James Madison as a big dog in a round robin. It just seems like the right spot. App State, 3 consecutive thriller last-second victories over really good opponents. Their livers have got to be given out. Everybody in Boone needs a break. Their livers need a little resuscitation. Shitting the bed, taking the cheese, as it were, against an actual surprisingly tough James Madison squad. I think it's a ripe opportunity. I'd like that number to be probably like on the other side of 10. App State might go out and crush them. Who knows? But it just seems to me like it's a good spot to consider taking the dog.
I agree, man. App State was lucky last week. They were lucky. They've been had an equal dose of unlucky too, right? So they're kind of like right in that. They're playing ping pong with luck, right? They're jumping one side of the fence and back over. My bigger point is this: University of Miami. I'm going to put a lot of pressure on you. Look at me, Cristobal. Look at me. James Madison beat Middle Tennessee by 37 points. 37. Your spread's 25.5. I'm expecting big things from you, Mario. Don't let me down.
Yeah,
that's
it.
A
few games early.
Restrepo's out again.
Yeah, I already
Dude,
sent him.
Restrepo's out again. There's still
email.
nobody to do.
Okay, let's play again. Do you think any of the James Madison wide receivers would be good enough to start at Miami?
Yeah, almost every one of them. Every one of them if Restrepo's out. Did you see last week?
Right, fair enough. I can't be that. Yeah, that kid George looked like he had a little something to him.
He could get open, and he caught a couple passes, but then he dropped a pass. So he dropped 2 wide open. He dropped 1 wide open, and then I think the other drops were from other guys. But no, yeah, George might have something down the road, but not right now.
Al, I'm interested in your bet here, right? Everyone in the world is loving on App State. It's probably time to bet against them a little bit, and plus 8.5 is a lovely bet. They can win by 7, and everyone wins.
It's one of those things where it feels like the number should be a little bit bigger, and that makes me think the books might know a little something. I don't know. It's a little sneaky play I might consider, but it's not an official play. It's something I'm on the fence about, like Andy said. But Andy
don't bet
and
on
Matt,
colleges that are named after presidents that don't have states named after them.
That's true.
I'm not gonna remember that rule.
Wait.
Too many.
Is there another state outside of George Washington?
Andrew Jackson.
You could bet on Washington. That's it.
Wait.
You can bet on Washington. That's it.
Okay.
You can't bet on.
I can't bet. But is that why Nebraska sucks? Lincoln, but it's not a state.
It counts. Yes, it counts. Lincoln is why Nebraska sucks. It had nothing to do with hiring UCF's coach and then letting him try and run a fail forward fast offense.
That's from the 18th addendum added in 2012. Matt, you should know that on Danny's rule there. Notre Dame and North Carolina. Matt and Andy, you guys have some thoughts?
Yeah,
and you go for a Smith conviction.
All right. So we all know Marcus Freeman's tenure got off to a rocky start with the losses to Ohio State and Marshall, right? But there's no shame in losing to Ohio State, and they kept it close for most of that game. And then the Marshall loss was disappointing, but they also lost their QB during that game and then had to play a backup. He's done for the year, so he won't be playing here. But the backup, Drew Pine, he's going to get more and more time with the ones, more and more reps. Hopefully he'll get better as the season goes. And then on the North Carolina side, they're 3-0, but their games against App State and Georgia State were both nail biters. And I don't think anybody thinks that those teams are lighting the world on fire. So I think these records could easily be flipped, and Notre Dame be 2-1 and North Carolina be 1-2. And I think we'd be getting a totally different number. I still think Notre Dame's the better team, and I think we're getting a better price than we should because of those records. So
It's excellent analysis, Andy. I
To
agree with
counterplay
everything you said.
that, the best side in this game is North Carolina's offense. Notre Dame's defense is fine. North Carolina's offense is a wagon. Like they have the most.
That's terrible analysis. The best thing in this game is Marcus Freeman's face.
True. I'm sorry. The second best thing outside of Marcus Freeman's surprisingly good looks is North Carolina's offense. Notre Dame's defense is good. And the thing that scares me here, where I'm not biting on the North Carolina money line quite yet, is the fact that Notre Dame may score 40 points against North Carolina's defense because it's that bad, and it's harder going the other way, right? North Carolina has a better offense, but it's harder to score against good defense than it is for bad offenses to score against. You know what I mean? The inverse, right?
Yeah.
North Carolina's defense is terrible. I know I've sat here and made fun of Gene Chizik the whole time. That dude, not doing anyone favors, just cashing checks and not doing work. But I would lean to the North Carolina side for the sake of the fun here because they have the most talented side.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the strength of the North Carolina offense is running the ball, and the strength of the Notre Dame defense is stopping the run, right?
Have you watched North Carolina? Drake May? Have you watched Drake May, baby?
No, I haven't gotten to watch a lot. Remember, busy season just ended, bud, and then I just got drunk all weekend and I went to games.
You go to games. No, Drake May has been really good. Their quarterback has been lighting it up. And to Andy's point, they're not going out and crushing Georgia State like you would expect. Even against FAMU was really suspect. That was the game that's turned me off the most in North Carolina. But he's super talented. He's an improvement from Sam Howell. We said this last week. He's an improvement.
Well, we know how you feel about Sam Howell. I'm going to get that clipped so we can play it on this podcast at some point, but Matt hates him.
I hate him. But he's talented, but I hate him. Drake May's a lot better. And that's not like a bias thing. I think he's very talented.
Oh, we're going from one game where Matt and I are on the opposite side to another where we're on the same side. You want to kick us off on that one, Matt?
Yeah, man. It just goes back to the same logic I always have when playing Tennessee. Tennessee's going to score a gang of points. They're going to run a ton of possessions. Florida's coming off of – has anyone had a more roller coaster beginning of the year than Anthony Richardson in Florida? They were – wow, look how great this team is. Anthony Richardson for Heisman. Since then, Anthony Richardson hasn't thrown a touchdown. Not one. Not a single touchdown. He's thrown a couple picks, but not a single touchdown. And this may have been before the USF game, so let me cross-check my stats there. But Tennessee only plays single-digit games. They love playing single-digit games. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think Tennessee will win, but I think it'll stay 7 to 9 points. I think 11 is.
Yeah, I like this one with you guys. I will not get on this with you because when three of us are on the same side.
No, let's make it all four. Let's make it all four. I love this bet. I didn't even realize that they were getting a whole 11.
Are we doing it? Okay. All right. Well, let's see what happens when all four of us are in lockstep.
What can we call this term, Andy? When all four of us bet? A lock cyclone?
I love it.
The cyclone. Some sort of, I can't think of it, like the four squares.
Well, if we're all four on it and then the game goes the other way, we all four have to do like some sort of penalty. This should be an off meeting, but like it's got to be a penalty chug, right? We got to have a penalty chug halfway through. Like at the 30-minute mark, we got to do a penalty chug of the next podcast, right?
Something like that.
Sure.
If it loses, yeah.
Andy, you have analysis here, buddy? I just rambled.
No, you're good. I think it's very similar to my analysis of the last game, right, where I said UNC's overrated because of their 3-0 record. Tennessee's 3-0, but they haven't played an SEC game yet. And then I know Florida let USF hang around last week, but I think that was just kind of a sandwich spot. They played Kentucky the week before. They knew they had Tennessee coming up here, so I don't think they put in the time that they should have to prepare for USF. And it's not like a broken record, but 11 is too many points. I think that this will be a close game. Not necessarily saying Florida's even the better team, but I think it's close. And if it's a close game and you're going to give me double digits, I'm taking the points every time.
Yeah, I think if you look at the defenses,
go ahead, Al.
If you look at the defenses, you've got a Florida defense that's always tough. They're going to be real tough in the red zone, even though Tennessee's at home. And then the other side, I don't have confidence that Tennessee's defense can stop Anthony Richardson and Florida offense if they've got a decent game plan. So
Richardson,
I like it.
good.
Let's do it.
Matt
Everybody's in.
Matt brought up the stat that he hasn't thrown a quarterback since that Utah game or a touchdown since that Utah game or whatever, but he's better. He's better than that. Dude's got talent.
Question for you. Do they do player props anywhere in college? I feel like that's always dirty, but I would go over 1.5 touchdowns if that's an option, because I feel like he's too good not to have touchdowns, and this Tennessee opportunity is a great one for him to throw a couple touchdowns.
So Matto, this is the SEC game of the week, and you can often find them on Bovada. So
I'm going to
it's the
eyeball
SEC
that.
game of the week, so you might be able to find them.
If there's an over 1.5, and I would imagine that would be the number they put it at, because I mean, even a bad Florida team, a bad Florida performance last week put up 28 to 30 points. I don't remember the exact number. And yes, he didn't throw a touchdown. He's good. The dude's good. He's going through a weird thing. He's probably feeling himself a little bit from that early Heisman hype. But I don't think he lost the talent. Like he ran into a good Stoops coached Kentucky team, and the USF game snuck up on him. I think this is going to be a good bounce back spot.
I hope so, for the sake of the Cyclone.
The Cyclone.
All right,
Matt, you
Matt.
got to do some production around that.
All right, let's move on to the next game here on our slate. Is Texas going into Texas Tech? Matt, what do you got for us there?
Yeah, so I'm a little nervous about this pick. So I don't necessarily have anything I want to lock in here, but Texas is the better side. Texas has been playing like the better side. I was super impressed the way Texas handled a good UTSA team, and those poor bastards at UTSA have had the toughest schedule and the toughest draw. That is the best 0-3 team in the land, and they don't deserve to be that way. But they handled it, and they covered the number. They looked good. They kept UTSA, I think, to 20 points. I think UTSA has very similar offense to Texas Tech, and I don't think Texas is going to score a lot of points. I would be eyeballing the under 60 here. I know that's a low number for Lubbock, right? Everyone goes to Lubbock and they think it's going to be a sexy number. I was impressed with Texas's defense, and I think that can travel. I'm not that impressed with Texas's offense, and I think it could be. I think that number it may be a hairy one, but I'm going to lean at under 60 if I had to make a play here.
When we're talking about 0-3 teams, you guys were talking about Georgia State earlier against my Coastal Carolina pick. They don't cover, but UTSA, on the other hand, they do. And we like 0-3 teams that cover. I don't know why you guys like the stupid Georgia State team that doesn't cover. That's why I'm betting Coastal. Go on.
They drew for me against North Carolina. That's all I wanted. I knew I was going. That 7 was an important number. I didn't want the hook of either side. I was like, just give me 7.
I think it closed with a worse number, so it counts on action is not covering. So.
Stupid action.
Yeah, I took Texas. Yeah, I took Texas -5 here for a lot of the same reasons Matt just said. Texas Tech. This is not the same Texas Tech offense that can gun and shoot with anybody. They're not as good. They lost to NC State by a couple touchdowns last week. Texas nearly toppled Bama a couple weeks ago. So they already had their hangover game where they still won by 3 touchdowns last week. That's solid scheduling. Whenever you play Bama, you got to make sure you follow that with like Sister Mary Helen's Catholic School of the Blind the next week.
Like Stony Brook.
So it's a get right
Stony
game.
Brook, the Brook.
So yeah. So yeah, Stony Brook.
Sorry, Stony Brook. We're gonna find some college basketball games to bet on you guys for, so we can say some good things.
Next couple of weeks, I'll be wearing a Stony Brook hat on this podcast.
They're not a
big fan.
They're not a football school. It's okay.
Hey.
The slander continues.
But I'll bring up a good point as far as Texas Tech went on the road to play NC State. NC State has a very similar defense to Texas, probably a little bit better, but they were held to 14. Right, and I talked about it before. Carter Finney on the road is a tough place to play, and NC State is very, very challenging place to play. This isn't that great offense. That's where I was going with the under. I don't think Texas is going to score a ton against them, but same thing. I think it's going to be low, and I think I would lean Texas -5.
Yeah,
to update your sentiment.
And then Matt, since we seem to be so in agreement this week. This is where I was going to chime in on Miami -26 So that's my play on the next game. They are playing Middle Tennessee, and like you said, James Madison beat this team by like 50 points. I think the Canes can top that number. So, yeah, I'll lay the 26.
I mean, I'd like to pretend I'm not going to bet this game, but I mean, come on, I'm going to be there.
I think I said week 1. I was like, or after week was 0. I'm taking the Canes every week against a non-SEC team. So here it is.
Well,
Perfect.
I've taken them every week so far.
Yeah.
So maybe not on the podcast, but in my real life.
Yeah. They can run the ball. I know you're down on Miami since Restrepo is out, but they still have a couple of really good running backs, and I doubt Middle Tennessee has very good defensive line that can.
I'd like to be clear. I am not down on
right.
Miami. I think our receivers are very, very bad. We're now at FSU level receivers with Restrepo.
You can't say that about us anymore, bud. Our receivers look good this year. Have you watched?
We're at last year's
We're at
last year's FSU level receivers with Restrepo out because they were really bad. They struggled to get open against a bad Texas A&M secondary with two guys out for targeting. Like that was they were struggling to get open, and then when they were open, they dropped the ball. Like that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think any of that was like jitters? Kyle Field, first time being
sure.
It
was
like
jitters that they couldn't get open. It was jitters that they couldn't get open.
Okay.
Look, we knew that we were weak. That's why we brought in Restrepo. That's why we hit the transfer portal hard.
I do think A&M, Middle Tennessee, they got like equal secondary. It's like the same
very
thing,
similar.
right?
Very similar. I don't know. I'm so
honestly, it's not that much different after the two targeting.
That's not true. Jimbo's loaded that defense. You guys placed a really good defense, and the play calling in that game is
you got 5 stars
conservative, but no,
on the bench, and you got
we had like 100 first downs. We moved the ball, and then we had like 400 yards of offense.
But he had to go for a touchdown. Him kicking that field goal to go to 9 points was like a puzzle. I listened to several podcasts like.
I'm with you. But we knew that when we signed him. He's a conservative coach. That's the thing.
He's
that's
not
what you get with Mario.
He's not a good game day coach.
And you have Harris and Knighton, right? You can run the ball. You have Knighton's a stud. He's going to be so good. I think he'd be more likely. I think he'd be more likely to go for it if the short pass was a threat, but it wasn't because none of the guys could catch a short pass. Nobody could catch a short pass, and honestly, Tyler Van Dyke skied a couple balls over people's head. Like he missed some easy throws. Like that's not like him either. He's that might have been good this year. That might have been rattled, which shouldn't be like him. This is like his, It's a tough dude. He's played like 12 games. That's a tough environment to watch.
Yeah, they practice. They're screaming. We talked about
but one of those games was in Alabama.
I'm
actually that was technically a neutral site game that was like at Georgia Tech or no in Atlanta or whatever. But
I'm surprised
we got a lot of games to get through.
Okay, we can get rolling.
Sorry, guys. That's Miami Dolphin or Miami Hurricanes podcast. I did a little too much there. Sorry. Let's. I'm probably going to take the Miami minus 26 also because I bet it every time. Let's move on to Minnesota, Michigan State. You guys got picks?
Yeah, we got a little theme going here. This is my third pick in a row where I'm picking a game that involves a 3-0 team, and I'm picking against the 3-0 team in all of them. I'm taking Michigan State plus the 3 points. Michigan State is coming off an 11-point loss to the Washington Huskies, and it wasn't even actually that close. The Spartans had to score 2 touchdowns in the last 7 minutes to make it look like relatively close. But I think Washington could sneakily be pretty good, and Michigan State had to travel all the way to the West Coast for that one. I also don't like or trust PJ Fleck very much, so I'm going to look for Michigan State to get back on track at home this week, getting 3 points. So Matt, I think you're on the other side of this one.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan State's very good, to be honest. They went to Washington, right? And everyone was sleeping on Washington. And I got Penix envy watching that game. That dude was great. Michael Penix the other day was amazing. He's going to make that team really good. But I don't like Thorne. I don't like anything that Mel Tucker's got on that Michigan State side. I don't like PJ Fleck, but I'm a big fan of Muhammad Ibrahim. I think he's awesome. Their running back is the best player in the game. And I think Minnesota's defense is going to make it close. My bet would be, it's not official, but I would bet, I bet Minnesota money line originally. It's at -3 now, so I don't have as much conviction. But I bet the money line originally.
Yeah, Michigan State doesn't have a quarterback, so it's
Horn's not good enough. He's not good. And I think Minnesota's defense is pretty good.
Yeah, I think you both made good arguments.
All right, so our next game is a Pac-12 matchup. I don't think we have any official plays, but we have a couple of leans. Oregon is taking on Washington State. Al, you want to kick this one off for us?
Yeah, my only thought there, I don't Oregon here, but I do think Oregon is the undisputed king of the Pac-12, at least until they play USC, which they conveniently do not play on their schedule this year, unless, championship game. So my head says lay the points. They're going to put it to them, but I do think Washington State's a sneaky good team this year. So I'm not going to play it, but my heart says to lay the points.
My lean is exactly the same as yours, Al, as long as it stays under a touchdown. I haven't bet it yet. I'm not sure if I will, but same thought process as you. Until they show me that they're not, I'm still going to trust Oregon. Matt, did you have a lean on this one as well?
It's a tough one for me, man. Washington State's been really impressive. Going to Pullman is the big separator there to me. If it was in Eugene, I'd feel a lot better about it. I'd probably lean the +6, especially if that number starts climbing a little bit. If it gets to 7, I'm hitting +7 because I know Bo Nix had a really good game last week against a BYU team that's a little bit depleted, but it wasn't even that. The offense looked awesome. Oregon played really well last week, and that could be Oregon, right? Everyone's got this negative perception of Oregon because they played Georgia, but hey, guess what? They played Georgia. Everyone looks bad against Georgia. I think that's just the rule. But
I think there's still a little bit of that stink on them from that.
If it gets up a little bit more, I'm going to probably take Washington State.
Andy,
I don't have enough conviction at 6.
Andy, I think we've got a typo here. It looks like you're laying points.
I am, but it's only a field
right?
goal. So,
Okay.
yeah, in Arizona at Cal, I am laying the 3 with Cal. Arizona has already doubled its win total from last year. They had 1 win last year. They've already got 2. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to trust that this team is good. Cal hung with Notre Dame last week, and as Matt pointed out, a couple of bounces go a different way, and Cal could have won that game. I've already laid out that I actually think Notre Dame is better than most people are giving them credit for. So Cal hanging with Notre Dame, to me, I feel pretty good about that. And then Cal also shut down a really potent UNLV offense the week before that. UNLV has been putting up points against everybody, and Cal held them to I think 14 points. So Arizona's going to have to show me more than 2 wins before I'm going to believe that they can hang with Cal. So yes, Al, it's unbelievable for me, but I am laying the 3 here with Cal.
I like that play a lot, Andy. I might tail you on Saturday.
I'm not tailing it, but I think Cal may be a little full of himself, so I'm kind of buying Arizona. I can't believe I'm saying this. I was impressed last week with what I bet against them in San Diego State, and I'm kind of buying Arizona. I think they'll win. Look, Wilcox is a great coach. I love Justin Wilcox at Cal. I think he's a perfect coach for the situation because it's a shitty situation to be the football coach at Cal, to be honest. But I don't know. This will be an interesting game. I may actually watch this one for a little bit because it's at 5:30. It's going to fill a perfect window for a little bit.
Yep. All right, Matt, why don't you keep us going with Arkansas State going to Old Dominion?
Old Dominion has played a lot of good teams this year, and they've played really hard against a lot of good teams. They played Virginia extremely tough. They beat Virginia Tech. What in the hell does Arkansas State have to do with any of this? I'm fading James Blackman again. Give me Old Dominion, -6 in the Tidewater area. Let's go Monarchs, I think they are. Or maybe they're the Dukes. I'm not sure, but let's go Old Dominion. Woo! That's it.
I think you had it. I think they're listen. You're telling me you're going to fade James Blackman and get on board with a quarterback named Hayden Wolf. Love it.
Let's go. Let's send the Wolves out. Bring the pack out.
Wolfman. Matt, I think you're on the next play too.
I got the next game too. It's Rice versus Houston. I've looked at a lot of projections here, and they think this game's closer to 13 or 14. I think Houston's been playing a lot of games, and they've been playing a lot of tight games for a little while. I don't think Rice is that bad. Everyone's got a little stink on them from the USC game. This game is kind of a stinker, but I would probably take the points with Rice at 17.5. I think it's the opportunistic play here. I think it's the right play here. And I think the number looks stinky, which makes me feel even better about it because I'm like, those people in Vegas probably know a little more than I do.
Yeah. Andy, you got playing Louisiana Tech, South Alabama?
I do. I bet against South Alabama, also known as USA, 2 weeks ago when they were playing Central Michigan, and I got beat. But I wasn't getting 14 points then. You'll be shocked to hear this, but 2 touchdowns is too many points. I am taking 14 with Louisiana Tech.
I lost betting against USA last week and also to UCLA, and they only won by 1 point. So maybe we'll learn a lesson sometime soon. Or maybe you'll win this.
Stop betting against USA,
betting
right?
against America, Andy.
The next play is mine. It's Iowa Rutgers. Rutgers last week, I was on that under 40 against Temple. And that one they scored 30 points in total between the two of them. So this I'm highlighting as my Kirk Ferentz midnight gas station hot dog under of the week, under 35.5. Oh, so it's not going to be a fun game to watch, or it's going to be fun to see those zeros stay up there. So that's all. Iowa, Rutgers, under, love it.
Yeah, I'm either with you on the under. There he is.
That's awesome.
That boy eating a hot dog. I'm with you on the under, or if Rutgers is getting like 10.5 or 11 points, I'm just going to bet their team under. They're not good. I kind of want to bet Iowa 7.5. I'm scared if they can score that many points, right? Like that Rutgers is really bad. That Temple Rutgers game the other day was just an atrocity to football. It was a shame that football exists that can be great and can also be Temple Rutgers at the same time.
Isn't it just beautiful?
It was like the multiverse, where like two things can be so great and so bad at the same time, and you can exist in both of them. Like it was a nightmare. But that's my lean there.
Like Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, and Tom Holland, Spider-Man in the same place.
We got a couple leans in some of these games. I don't need to talk about any of these. Do you guys want to touch base on Arkansas, Texas A&M at all?
It's a pretty big game.
It's a big game.
Yeah, I kind of like Arkansas.
Anybody care about it? I think Texas A&M sucks. That's what I think.
Yeah,
I think if Miami's better than you, we should have beat you. If we could recover a fumble, then there's no reason that Arkansas can't beat you.
Yeah, I think Miami hung around, and I didn't expect them to keep it as close as they did, even though A&M still covered. I think Arkansas is better than Miami, so I think that it should be closer. I don't know.
Coming into this season,
2.5 or something like that.
Coming into this season, there was no reason Miami should have hung with Texas A&M like that.
Correct.
I mean, Texas A&M beat Alabama right last year.
Bad year for Jimbo.
There's no reason we should have been hanging with Texas A&M. There's no reason we should have been hanging with that Texas A&M like that. We're not at that level yet. We're supposed to get to that level soon, right? We just started investing in the program for the first time in 20 years.
Maybe next year, maybe the one after that.
So hopefully we're good soon. But there's no reason we should have been. We should have came away from that game thinking we should have won, and that's the way every Miami fan felt.
My only concern here is this line stinks. It stinks. Arkansas has been playing really well. I don't know why Texas A&M would be the favorite, and I'd kind of bet Texas A&M because it stinks so bad. I would have normally thought Arkansas would be the favorite here. I've been underwhelmed with everything Texas A&M has done, In
You think
Arkansas, KJ Jefferson's
A&M
awesome.
getting the victory over Miami, maybe inflating the line a little bit their way?
Maybe. I don't know. The media has not been kind to Jimbo. It's not like a surprise that Jimbo Fisher has been really bad at managing Haynes King and now Max Johnson. Like, dude, he ran the wing tee essentially the other day. He took the air out of the ball and tried to just end the game. It was an awful game to watch.
Jimbo Fisher has not been a good head coach when he has not had Jameis Winston as his quarterback.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you. I mean, he had EJ Manuel. He was all right.
All right. He was all right. With
all
EJ
right.
Manuel, a first-round pick in the NFL.
We were 10-2. It was a little better than
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Danny, I think you got a pick in Charlotte at South Carolina.
Yeah, so this is kind of a play on South Carolina. Got their asses handed them last year, and it's kind of fade the team that scored in single digits the week before. Also, Charlotte isn't that bad. I know that I kind of used that. I'm going out of both sides of my mouth here because I used them as them being bad when I was talking about Coastal. But so both sides saying that conference isn't that bad, right? The conference levels aren't as disparate as people think because you're watching lower level conferences coming in with Big Ten teams and Notre Dame. Notre Dame just keeps losing to non-conferences or almost beating them or whatever. You're just I don't think there's that big of a difference, and I think that 21.5 points is too many. I got the hook because I bet it early. I think it's dropped under 21.5 now. But they'll move around. Anyway,
Danny,
21.5.
That was a Mano Rivera quality save right there. Well done. Charlotte's
I'm
good.
actually seeing the numbers gone up a little bit. I'm seeing 22.5.
Crap.
No, that's good. It means our listener can get a better number.
Yeah.
All right, you can do better than I did. I got 21.5. That's what I'm sticking with my number at. I still think it's good. I still like it at 21.5.
Danny, why don't you keep us going here? With
I love to fade terrible teams. NC State's playing UConn. That's all you need to know. I think they're giving up like 40 points. I got it at 39.
We got UConn in a primetime slot, fellas.
Ooh, 7:30. What channel do you
Also, I kind of saved some of my. I skipped most of the afternoon.
17.
I skipped most of the afternoon games because I like to bet on games I can watch, and I'll be at the 3:30 Canes game. So I'm betting on primetime games I can try and catch the end of when I get home.
Good move. Laying the points with NC State over UConn. Love it.
Yeah, that'll just bring. I mean, that's just like there's no analysis there. It's like UConn's bad, NC State good, 39 points. I think it's enough.
Hey,
too many or whatever the number of points that Andy says, I'm going. I lay him, he takes them, whatever.
So we're gonna quiz the listener here real quick, okay? So the next game, you and Matt, that's Danny and Matt, are both on Hawaii. They're laying the points. The points are only up to 5.5. As the listener here, and think of what number of schools you would be willing to lay or take those points with Hawaii against, because I'm pretty sure you could figure out who they're playing this week if you haven't looked at the schedule.
Well, we've already talked about UMass and UConn, so those two are out.
Right. So they must play in Mexico.
So let's do a little transitive property football. All right, guys. The answer is New Mexico State, right? New Mexico State, I think, is 0-4 somehow in 3 weeks or something. Like they played a puzzling game. Hawaii just came up. Hawaii just beat a team. They're very formidable. They're called the Duquesne Dukes. We know they put up a good fight. We've learned that this year. So that was their first win of the year. What world is it worth not taking the points against New Mexico State? You think like there's a giant advantage to playing in whatever the fuck city New Mexico State's in? I mean, it's a long trip for them. They're always here. I'm just doing it as a strategic play. New Mexico State's real bad. Hawaii may be real bad. I'm going to just take the points and assume, I don't think they're 5.5 points better. And there's a good chance Hawaii may win. And you know what? We need that as people. We need Hawaii winning games. We need them to be back.
We need Hawaii getting overs is what we need.
Oh, boy, do we need it.
But the other thing we need, also overs happen at the end of the game, which keeps us up real late. But the other thing we need, and I don't mean to push this too long, is New Mexico State, New Mexico, UConn, Mass. These are the bottom tier, USF. These are the bottom tier level college football teams. Hawaii's been bad this year, but is Hawaii the bottom tier level? Are we willing to put Hawaii in that bottom tier level college football team yet? And the answer might be maybe. This year, the answer might be yes.
I think you say
This year, the
Hawaii
answer
is
might be
definitely they're a bottom 5 team, but they're not a bottom 4 team. Okay, and New Mexico State is a bottom 4 team.
So like if I'm a bottom 5 team and I'm playing a bottom 4 team, I'm gonna take the points if they're giving me points against a bottom 4 team.
Got to.
Battle of the bottoms.
Honestly, it's just such a fun, chaotic game to bet that I can't say no. It's so exciting. I'm so excited to bet Hawaii plus 5.5 in a situation I think we'll talk about at the end. I think there could be some value just taking them to win.
I like this pick. I like it a lot. Yeah, New Mexico State is not good. So.
That brings us to the next game. Matt, did you ever get this one on any books? Because I know on mine it was unavailable all day today.
Yeah, so it originally came in at 17. Can I just have 1 minute to talk about this? Florida State played the most impressive game I've seen in 5 years. There's no reason they should have won that game when you lost your best defensive end, you lost your left tackle, you lost your starting quarterback who's playing out of his mind. One of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the ACC so far. He's been statistically amazing, and he started the game off going 11-11 for 150 yards and a pair of tutties. Dude was awesome. The fact that Florida State came back and won that game, that was the most impressive game I've seen since the Fisher era. And they beat 2 ranked North Carolina teams, and they beat Miami last year. None of that had anything to do with Louisville on the road against a fired-up home, opening day crowd in Louisville where everyone's been drunk since like 9:30 a.m. And Malik Cunningham was going off. It was an awesome game, and I'm super impressed with the way Florida State played. It spoke to me. With that being said, if you're going to play a little aside here, I don't think you're going to have Jordan Travis. I don't think you're going to have Jared Verse. I don't think you're going to have Robert Scott. I think all 3 of them will be out for a couple reasons. I think even if they were healthy, they may let them recover because Florida State starts a terrible gauntlet of Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, those 3 games in a row. There's a good chance it could be 0 for October until they get to Georgia Tech, and that should be an okay win. Look, Boston College hasn't been good. They have a good quarterback, and they may have the best wide receiver in the ACC in Zay Flowers. If you guys haven't watched Zay Flowers play, enjoy it. Watch some highlight clips. The dude is electric. They have I know last week they lost 4 linemen to the draft. Boston College lost 4 linemen to the draft, and then they had 2 get injured in the year. They had a walk-on on left tackle and right guard last week. They're having some trouble. If Jordan Travis was in this game or Jared Verse was in this game, I'd say, lay the 17. It's too many points. It's too many damn points. This team's going to be believing in themselves. Florida State should believe in themselves. They freaking showed it last week. And they may still win this game, but Tate Rodemaker sucks. I don't care what happened there. He threw to Johnny Wilson, and Johnny Wilson may be an NFL guy the way he played last week. He could show something. Don't lay the points. Take the points, and if I lose this, I will come in here celebratory with a trumpet of beer next week, and I'll play that trumpet of beer and drink it down. Thank you.
You're having some weird. You're gonna have to drink out of a trumpet. You're gonna have to
drink out of a boot. I'm here, baby. I'm here. Andy, you have something to add?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. Obviously, I don't have any inside information, but Jordan Travis was in a boot and on crutches. That doesn't seem like a minor injury that you're going to rush him back for, especially, and I had this in my notes, Matt, you said this, but I think you can beat Boston College without him potentially. So there's no reason to rush him back. You rest him for that gauntlet Matt talked about, and you take the 17 with Boston College. So.
Also, he's been shockingly good this year. Why bring him back against a game you can win without him?
Yeah, and you're going to face Hartman, you're going to face NC State, and then you got to face Clemson, right? Just take it easy, get everyone healthy. Look, and that's the recipe for getting upset, what I just said, right? That's the recipe
take
for
it easy, get everyone healthy.
Yeah, that's the point, right? Take the 17 points.
It's the recipe for winning by 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, winning
Yeah.
by 3. If we can kick a field goal, I will take it. I'll take a game-winning field goal because we don't make them.
I think that brings us to my pick here, which so I bet against Oregon State week 1 and lost, telling you guys that they were terrible and they whooped Boise's ass. And I bet against USC, telling you guys Lincoln Riley wasn't going to run up the score, which apparently he likes to do.
He does.
So this time I'm gonna
that.
just. This time I'm gonna take USC because it was only 6.5 points, and I honestly think Oregon State. I know that they've been impressive so far this year, but I don't think they've been impressive against impressive teams. So I'm taking USC because of that, and obviously they're gonna run up the score, so they'll win by more than 7.
Yeah, Danny, I'm actually on this one with you. I'm a little scared because I feel like this line kind of stinks. I'm surprised that we're getting it at USC less than the touchdown. I see some books are at 7, but still plenty that are at -6.5. So I'm going to take it with you, but I'm a little scared that somebody knows something we don't, because I think this line should be way bigger.
I just think that people are betting the Oregon State lines because they've lost on them a couple of times already. So the gamblers are starting to bet on Oregon State. The people that have been told Oregon State sucks, they're now like, oh no, I'm going to bet on them. I've lost on them twice. I'm going to bet on them this time. Because there's been 2 weeks. There's been 2 weeks where people have come out and said Oregon State sucks. Bet on them. Other people have come out, and I've fallen for that. So.
My sneaking suspicion here is that Oregon State has good sized secondary that can they can be ball hawks if the balls, if they have a chance to get their hands on it. And I think maybe someone's thinking there could be some turnovers that cut this game closer than it should be. But yeah, I don't play on it.
USC's defense is surprisingly good. I was suspect of it, and I think Andy and I both said it. I'm surprised how good they've been, but their competition level. And Fresno State's a very competent offense. When Hainer went out, they were a totally different team. They lost that drive. You could see the spirit get sucked out of them a little bit. So we'll see what they can do, and we may be eating crow there, Andy. On that under 9.5, but
yeah,
this is a big test. They got to go to Corvallis. It's going to be an interesting game. Oregon State's playing really well. They're better than everyone.
That whole USC team's been playing well. I mentioned that I thought that they would get the athletes in first. I know they got some transfers and they already had some athletes there, and it would take longer to get the lines playing well. But the lines have been dominating. So I know that they didn't play as many great teams so far, but the lines have been dominating. So they've been running the ball great. I'm impressed with Lincoln Riley. So we bet on coaches named after presidents, but not schools.
Oh, president coaches, schools with states. No, presidents with state schools.
Coaches can be named after presidents. Schools cannot unless it's Washington.
Okay, got it. One other note I would like to say, I know people really are trying to do this, let's buy Arizona State. Don't. You saw what happened last week when you're like, let's just buy Nebraska. It was a terrible bet, and it was a disaster after they had a scripted drive, and after that, there was not a hope Nebraska was going to score. I think the only thing that's interesting is this game is in Arizona State, but the whole coaching staff is going to be gone. It's going to be Arizona State's got a lot of trouble coming their way for the things they were doing during COVID. They are going to get dinged badly. That's going to be
Can we all agree if Nebraska stayed in the Big 12, Scott Frost would have done great? But he went to a running and punting conference with a fail forward fast offense, and it just wasn't going to work.
I think Scott Frost can move one state down and take over the job in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'd be really good. I really do. I think Kansas State, they'd be really good. I think he would be really good there. He's just not Big Ten guy, right? Because he just doesn't like being bold.
Running and punting. He's not a running and punting guy. He wants everybody to play fast, and he doesn't want to eat clock. Al, you're on mute.
I was gonna say, I think Nebraska still has serial killer pie in the sky expectations. They still think it's 1983, and they're gonna and compete for a national championship. That's not the program. So, I mean, Scott Frost was bad. He should have gone, but what are they expecting?
They fired a coach before, I forget his name, before him, who was averaging like
Bo
10 wins a
Pelini.
season.
Bo
So,
Pelini. Yeah.
Bo Pelini, yeah. So yeah, their fans are worse than Canes fans as far as expectations. At least we like wait till Al Golden is averaging 4 wins a season and getting blown out by Clemson at home with no fans in the stadium and everybody stops going and giving money to the program.
Goddamn ties. Get the fuck out of here.
By the way, Al Golden is what's wrong with Notre Dame, not Marcus Freeman. I'd like to go on record as saying Al Golden is what's wrong with Notre Dame, not Marcus Freeman.
Not as handsome.
Do we want to go over?
I think just money lines now.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything they want to throw out there?
I think Hawaii is one you got to seriously
James
look at.
Madden.
Oh, go ahead, Al.
The Hawaii money lines moved, so I like that one now. I like Charlotte to beat North Carolina, but that one's like 1,000, so don't put that in with others. Just take it if you want to do it.
Wake.
I like the Wake money line.
This is going to be a little more radical.
I don't hate Florida.
Florida has won the last
Florida.
5 games against Tennessee. I think you look really long and hard and think about a little bit of that juice. I do think Florida can win this game. I don't think I think the odds will dictate that it's probably plus 300 if they're 11-point dogs, plus 250.
We'll give out. Don't we give these out on TikTok?
Yeah,
yeah.
Plus 320. It's probably worth the risk of making a small wager there. Because I do think Florida has the ability. I think Tennessee, it's got to end at some point, right? Like they've been playing very well. I don't think they're going to be the world beaters in the SEC. And granted, they got to play Georgia, so that'll be the divining rod. But I think it may be worthwhile taking a look at that.
Here's a fun one. Southern Miss.
Who are they playing?
Tulane. Tulane loves to play down to the level of competition.
That's not a bad one.
I like that.
So,
Andy, what you got?
That's really it. I've got less money lines this week than I usually do. I'm gonna have to struggle to find something to put in TikTok unless you guys help me out there a little bit. Yeah, I like Florida. I don't have much besides that.
I mean, Washington State over Oregon, I don't love, but it's a decent number at 200.
I actually like. I forgot about that one. Washington State would be one eyeball. They're playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't. What plus 6 is like 190.
They're at home. So
yeah, plus 6.5 is like 190, 195. It may be worthwhile investing. Like I said, I don't know if the Florida one will pay out, but I think there's a good chance.
The Texas Tech one at plus 210, I don't like, but those are just that's what's out there. I didn't really think that much about these. Sorry.
All right, let's do the chuggies.
We'll convene and we'll put out something on TikTok. So take a look there if you want to check our money lines. Matt, you want to go first with the chuggy bets?
Yeah, let's throw Hawaii plus 5.5, baby. Let's go. I'm gonna make it the sloppiest game out there. Hawaii plus 5.5.
Love it.
Al, what do you have?
Mine is going to be Temple minus 10. Fading UMass.
That's a good one.
Damn it.
Hey, you can take it too, Danny. You don't always have to fade me.
No, I'm not gonna double up. Andy, go ahead.
I'm taking Florida plus 11 as my chuggy bet. Our cyclone.
The cyclone.
All right. I don't want to do Coastal. That's like my least favorite bet I have. I'll go with damn it. I'll go with the big NC State minus 39. Shit.
Love it.
Giant. Oh, that got backdoor chugs coming your way, buddy. I love it.
Damn it.
Backdoor chug.
I do not like.
We're gonna have to
That's not the one I wanted
on.
to take. That's not the one I wanted to take. But all right.
Take
I'm not going
USC.
to do the same one.
Take USC. Do you feel good about it?
All right. Yeah. No, I like that one better. I'm going to do USC minus 6.5. Switch me, Andy.
I will.
Yeah.
All right.
NC State's going to play 80.
How did we do last week on our chuggy bets? we rehashed that at all?
I did
don't
not
even know.
win mine. I'm pretty sure.
No, Matt won his. You guys jinxed me with the rule of 3 on mine. We
Yeah,
lost
I hit
that.
mine.
UTEP was not even
Yeah, we
close.
got UTEP got their asses kicked.
Yeah, I don't know Al and Danny. I don't remember.
Yeah, I had Texas A&M
A&M.
and that hit.
Miami. So you won and Danny lost.
Oh, right.
All right, let's. We've gone quite a bit over our normal time of an hour, so let's wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for listening. If you've made it this far, please go follow us on TikTok, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell so you get notifications, all that good stuff. We really appreciate you guys.
Good night, Joey.
We love you
Man,
guys.
Joey. #1 fan.